Hello Year 5 and welcome to your maths lesson for today. So what we're going to do is we're going to warm your brains up first by doing an activity, and then I'm going to suggest something to help you before we start today's lesson. So before we do anything, I'd like to have a go at doing these questions on the screen. Okay, 7 multiplied by 6, we know the answer is 42. Now, if we do 70 multiplied by 6, we know that's going to give us 420. Now, you're now thinking to yourself, well, how do I know that? Well, if I look at the numbers here, 7 to 70, I've made this 10 times bigger. Therefore, my answer has to be 10 times bigger. So I just multiply it by 10. Now, here the same answer is 420 because I know that 6 times 7 is also going to give us 42. But also I'm only multiplying by 10. So even though this is one number less and this is 10 times less, I'm still multiplying 6 by 7 and multiplying it by 10. Same for this one here, 70 now multiplied by 60. I know that 7 times 10 is 42, which I've worked out from all three questions before. I know that 7 is 10 times bigger, and I know that 60 is 10 times bigger. Therefore, if they're both 10 times bigger, that means that the answer's got to be 100 times bigger. Therefore, 4,200. Okay, very easy as long as you know your times tables. Okay, now before we move on, it's come to my attention that I think the last lesson was a little bit difficult, and I do appreciate that it's very difficult when we're using things like counters, which isn't something you are used to. So if you struggled with the last lesson, it might be worth going back and watching our lesson from Friday the 15th of January, because this lesson is the other half of the same activity sheet that we started. So if you think that you struggled and you might need the additional help, go back and watch last week's video from Friday and then come back and watch this video. If you're happy to plough on then, let's start. So let's consider this sum, 26 multiplied by 15. So we're going to use our base 10 equipment to help us today. Now, this is going back to the skill we learnt on Friday. We're going to partition our numbers. So here you can see I've partitioned 26 into 20 and 6 and our 15 into 10 and 5. Now, we know that the order doesn't matter because the numbers are getting bigger because we're multiplying. So let's do the first part. So we can do 10 times 10, that's going to give us 100. And we can do another 10 times 10, which is going to give us 100. Now, rather than doing 10 times 10 twice, we can think, well, hang on a second, we've just made the first answer bigger. So we can add these two together. We can look at this one and do 10 times 6 as 60. And we can then do 10 times the 5, 10 times the 5 again, and then the 10 times 6. Okay, so let's have a look at how we can make that easier to look at. So if we've got our 10 times 10 there with our 20, we know that these two together make 200. Okay, same for the bottom numbers, the top numbers over here. We can exchange those tens. We know that we had 6 lots of 10, so that gives us 60. Here we can change our tens over. We had 10 lots of tens, that's 100. And here we can exchange our ones again into 30. So here we can see how those numbers break down when we partition them. So what do we need to do next? Good. So now we need to just add them together. So here's what our written calculation would be. Adding together, my answer would be 390. So let's consider this question here, 21 multiplied by 10. We're going to do the same thing this time round, but this time we're going to use our place value counters. So again, partitioning the numbers in exactly the same way, partition them into my tens and my ones. So here we can then do the other side of the sum, where I'm going to show you how you could do it without the counters. So for any of you that struggle using the counters, this is going to show you how it looks identical, just we use the numbers that we work the sum out as. So we can do, we've got 10 tens together, which is 20. So 20 times 10, that's going to give us 2 lots of 100. We know that add that together, that gives us 200. Okay, so we just write the number 200. Then we're going to do our 10 times 1. It's going to give us 110. We know that 110 is 10. Then we're going to look at doing our 2 lots of 10s, so 20 times 2 lots of 1s. It's going to give us 4 lots of 10s. We know that 4 lots of 10s is 40. Then we're going to do our 2 digits multiplied by 1. That's going to give us 2. We know the answer is going to be 2. So here you can see, even though we use the counters, we have to do that additional step of writing down the answers. You can just do it straight away without using the counters. Now, all we need to do is we need to add them together, and our answer gives us 252. So here we have 34 multiplied by 23. Okay, and here we're going to partition it just using our numbers. We're not going to be using our base 10 or our value counters now. This is where we're now going to use the original numbers. So we should now have the skills to be able to build up knowing how to multiply. So this is building on our knowledge of multiplying by 10 and 100. So we can use our cheat method to help us if you get stuck. So the first thing we're going to do is our 30 times by 20. Now we know that's 600. If I was to write that down using my smile method, I can do 3 times 2, which is 6. And no, because there's 2 zeros, that means I've got to multiply it by 100. Therefore, 6 multiplied by 100 is 600. Here we're going to do our 4 multiplied by 20. Here again, we can do our 2 times our 4. We know that's 8. But because we have 1 0, we then need to multiply it by 10. And 8 times 10 is 80. Here, same rule applies. 30 multiplied by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Multiply that by the 0 for 10 is 90. And 3 multiplied by 4 is easy peasy. That's 12. So all we need to do now is add those numbers together. And our answer is 782. So here you can see how we can still break it down and partition it into our numbers, but you can do an easier method of just multiplying the tens numbers together or your 100 numbers together and using the zeros to tell you how much bigger you then need to multiply by that answer by. You should be able to then multiply by tens in your head anyway, but that's an easy way to do it if you're a bit stuck. So I'd like to pause the video and have a think. How are you going to work out the answers to this questions? What might the answers be? Okay, so 50 multiplied by 10, 1 times 5 is 5. 2 zeros, so I'm multiplying it by 100 is going to give me 500. 10 multiplied by 3 is 30. 50 multiplied by 9, I know is 450 because I know that 9 times 5 is 45 and I've had to make it 10 times bigger. 9 times 3 is 27. So all we need to do, add those together and our answer, add them together and our answer gives us 1007. My apologies, I skipped a slide there. So, what I would like to do now is I'd like to have a go at doing questions 5 to 7 on your worksheet. So this is the second half of the worksheet you started on Friday. Once you've done that, come back and we'll have a look at a problem solving question. Okay, so here we have 23 multiplied by something is 506. And now we have the additional challenge of having to work out the missing number we are multiplying by to give us our answer. So this is going to be one of those chances where we're going to have to just do some trial and error. So we need to use the skills that you already know and then build on them. So here you can see I've partitioned 23 into 2 lots of 10s and 3. So let's just start off by multiplying it by 10. Okay, so let's do 23 multiplied by 10 and see what answer it gives us. So 10 times 10 is 100, so we have 2 lots of 100s, and 10 times 3 is going to give us 3 lots of 10s, so 30. So if I add those all up together, 23 multiplied by 10 is 230. Now we know this looking at our multiplication skills. If I did 23 multiplied by 1, so I did my smile method, that gives me 23, and that 0 tells me to multiply by 10. Now, I need to find the answer of 506, so this isn't quite enough for me, so I need to do something else. So let's have a go at multiplying another 10. So here we're now multiplying 23 by 20, because I've partitioned my 2 lots of 10s. This is now multiplying 23 by 20. So again, 10 times 10 is 100. Same answer again for 10 times 10. And I have another 3 lots of 10. So here if I work it out all together, now I have 23 times 20. So I have double what I started with. So now I have 460, but that's still not quite enough because I need to get to 506. So let's try again multiplying by another 10. So here we're now multiplying 23 by 10, 20, 30. So let's see what happens. So 10 multiplied by 10 is going to give us 100. We then have another 100. However, can you spot my issue? What's my problem? Okay, so here you can see I have 600s, but my answer is only looking for 500s. So I can't multiply by 10 now because I know that's going to be too big. So now I need to do some trial and error. So I know that's not going to work. So let's now take it back a step. So let's try multiplying it by 1. So here we have 10, 20 and 1. So now we're multiplying 23 by 21. So let's see what it gives us. So 1 times 10 is 10. Another 1 times 10 is 10. 3 lots of 1s is going to give us 3. Okay, now let's have a look at our 10s. So here we're looking for 0 10s, so no 10s in our 10s value. But here you can see that I have 8. Now that means that my number is still getting bigger, but I have 8 10s. My answer tells me I don't have any 10s at all. So I need to try and get it to a point where I don't have any 10s at all now. So let's try multiplying by another one. So now I'm multiplying 23 by 10, 20, 1, 2, so by 22. So we know that 1 times 10 is 10. We have another 10. And 1 times 3 is 3 lots of 3. So let's have a look at how many 10s I have now, because I still have 4 hundreds, so I know I don't have enough hundreds. But I have 6 ones, so I might have enough ones now. So let's have a look at my 10s. Well, I have 10 lots of 10s here, so I can exchange that for 100. So here you can see I have 6 ones. I have no 10 to my answer, but I have 5 lots of 100, so I have 500. Therefore, that means that my missing number, now I've found my answer, must be 10, 20, 1, 2. So here the answer is 22. So you can see 23 multiplied by 22 has given me the answer 506. It's a bit of trial and error, okay, using your place value knowledge that's going to help you with this question. So now I'd like to have a go at doing questions 8 and 9 on your worksheet. I have sent all the worksheets home in the same documents to make it a little bit easier. You are still expected to have a go at doing 1 or 2 of the questions, so each of the instructions are linked to each exercise that I've sent home for you. The extension task will always be an additional one, unless you are children like Megan or Mariam, Ria, Rashay, Bishi, Jobin, or anybody else I might have missed off that list. If you know that you need to be accessing the extension challenge, I'd please like you to have a go at doing those as well. If you have got stuck though, this video also links to the maths video that we looked at on Friday. They are both parts of the same lesson, so use both videos to help you if you get stuck. Okay, good luck year 5.